Hey there drone fans, Rick here again from Drone Valley. Today I'd like to take a closer look at a new landing gear accessory for your Mavic Pro that I think you're going to find interesting and you may want to add to your kit. Now a lot of you are probably asking, why do I even need a landing gear assembly? Can't I just fly my Mavic and land it on the ground? And the honest answer is you can, but my worry was when I first got the Mavic, because of its small size, I noticed pretty quickly that the bottom of the Mavic and the ground that I was landing on were really close together. There was almost non-existent ground clearance there. And my worry was when I flew in fields that had tall grass, when I landed this thing, the blades would come in contact with the grass like a lawnmower and chop it off, and I'd get debris on the blades, have to clean them. There were balancing issues. And even when I wasn't flying in a field with grass and I was landing in just a dirt field or sand, I found that the weight of the Mavic would push down in the sand or the dirt, and a lot of times the bottom of the Mavic, the actual belly, which is the heat sink in the Mavic, which is warm, would come in contact with that surface. And if there was any moisture there or debris, it would transfer to the heat sink, so I was always cleaning that off. The whole thing just didn't make sense to me. So as I do, I went out and bought a bunch of accessories to try and find the perfect lift kit. I must have tested 10 or 12 of them. I finally settled on this kit, which I've done clips on before, and that's the kit that's actually on the Mavic now. And the reason I settled on that was because it met 3 of my really important criteria for any accessory I'm using. It has to be inexpensive, it has to be simple to use, and the third thing, and this is really important, it can't make my quad look goofy, because a lot of the accessories that are out there, you strap them on the thing and it just looks goofy as heck. So what I liked about this one is it married up with the color of the Mavic, so it almost looks like a stock accessory. You can add it in about 15 seconds. You can take it off. There's no permanent mounting involved. So I flew with this for the last 6 months. I love this. It's still my favorite set to go to. But again, as often happens, the companies that build these accessories are constantly evolving their product mix, they're trying to improve things, and they came out with a new set, we'll call it a Deluxe landing gear assembly. Now the big difference between the two is that this gives you, I'll give you a measurement here, I got a tape. I think this gives me about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of height. Yeah, I got about 2 inches of height on there, and I'll take these off in a second and show you how close it is without that. This gives you an extra 1/2 inch, a little over 1/2 inch, almost 3/4 inch, so it's a little further off the ground. That's really good if you're landing in soft ground or you're landing in grass. It just gives you that extra height you need. The big difference though is that these have, I'll call shock absorbers. There are springs built into the bottom of them, so when the Mavic comes down, it actually bounces a little bit when it hits the ground, and that'll keep some of that impact magnitude, I guess, from transferring up into the Mavic. So I like those as well. Now I still fly with these about 80% of the time. These are a couple bucks more expensive, but I wanted to do the review because I feel like if you haven't bought a landing kit already, that may be the one to go. If you own these, I'm not going to recommend you upgrade unless you want to, but they're pretty much the same except for the shock absorber and the additional height. Now they both attach to the Mavic the same way. It's extremely easy to add them. You have 2 front feet right here, these 2 front feet, and you have 1 assembly in the back. These front feet are just friction fit on there. They just pop right off. And again, they're labeled left and right, so you got to make sure you get them on the right side. This back piece clips around, and there's 2 little slots in these back feet. There's little fins in there that actually pop into those 2 back slots, and that's all there is to it. Now you can see without that on, just how tight that is. I mean, it's almost non-existent clearance underneath there. If there's anything on the ground at all, it's going to touch the bottom of that. And this heat sink down here is where your vision sensors are, your ultrasonic sensors, the cameras for vision positioning. If those get dirty, it's going to throw everything into a tizzy. So you want to make sure you keep those clean. The new set is so simple to install, they don't even give you instructions with it. And it's got the same 3 pieces. So inside there, you'll find 2 front feet, and you'll find a back foot as well that clips around just like the other one. So let me get this guy out without breaking it here. Close this guy out and get it out of the way. So to install this, again, these are labeled left and right. Now, when you're looking at the Mavic, you're looking from the back. This is the left side, that's the right side. So I want to make sure I get the left one on the left, which is this side. They just slide over like that. The right goes on this side. Couldn't be simpler. Make sure they're on there tight. I just push them on, make sure they're friction fit. Now when you install this back piece, you can put it on one of 2 ways. You can put it on looping down or looping up. Obviously if you put it on looping up, you're going to block that ultrasonic sensor there. So you want to make sure it loops down, and it just clips on the back. So it's basically going to go into those 2 little slits back there, and it's tight. And then I always squeeze in to make sure that it's on there, but these guys aren't going anyplace. Once they're on there, they're on for good. And you can see that this has got a spring mount assembly on the bottom. So when this thing comes down, it's going to actually land and give you a little bit of cushioning or shock resistance so that you're not transferring that impact magnitude again up through the quad and shake things loose inside there. So I like that. I also look at this thing, I haven't measured it before, but I think it's about 3/4 inch taller. That's almost a full 3 inches off the ground. So it does give you a little extra clearance. It gives you the shock absorption I talked about a minute ago. The colors match exactly, so it looks like a stock fitting. And again, it meets all my criteria. It doesn't make the Mavic look goofy. It's the same color, it's inexpensive, and it's really easy to use. So I like them an awful lot. Now I'm gonna have both down below. I'll have links to both of these because we do sell them on the website. Again, you can find these on Amazon. You can probably find them on eBay and a bunch of other places. You want to support the channel, you can buy them from us. I have plenty of them in stock, but I'm really just here to talk about some new accessories to make sure you guys are aware of them because I'm constantly testing stuff out. I've had these for like the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I've been flying with them pretty regularly. I like them a lot. And again, there's a tiny bit of difference between the two, a couple of bucks difference between them. I think they're both great accessories, but I didn't want to not review them because, you know, I've tried them and I like them, and I thought I'd relate that to you guys. So if you have any questions about anything I've talked about, please drop them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing because we have a ton more content coming. The last thing I'll say is we started a newsletter a couple of months back. If you haven't subscribed to that already, please subscribe to that because in that newsletter I send out maybe one a month to give you information on some of the new products we're going to talk about. And in there are discount codes to save you a couple of bucks off accessories if you buy them from us. And then the last thing I'll say is that I've really appreciated you guys and your response to the channel. We've grown a lot over the last couple of months, and it's very impressive to me that many people are into the hobby, and it seems like you're enjoying the clips, and that's rewarding to me to do this kind of work and have you guys, you know, involved with it and anxious to see the next clip coming out. So keep that up and I'll keep making these clips. That's pretty much it for today. So thanks again for watching, and as always, happy flying.